Hey, what's going on, everyone? So, from popular requests from a few traders that I trade with or that watch what I do, they were wondering how I use Fibonacci retracement. So, I thought I would make a little quick video just to give a general overview of how I use them and what I look for once I have them drawn to identify supports, resistances, and targets for a move. Because mainly my trading is all mathematical, measuring the moves and also trading with momentum. So I'll just do a couple examples and do my best to explain the my thought process behind what I'm looking for and how I use these Fibonacci retracements. So I'm using Thinkorswim. I removed all my studies. Just have a clean chart besides the contract expirations, but I have the E-mini S&P 500 futures up there, the continuous contract of ES. So I'm going to use the Fibonacci retracements tool on Thinkorswim, which is this guy right here. So when I draw these, I look for a complete measured move. In this case, from a nice U-turn support, like in this area, to where we hit a resistance where we stopped moving. I'm going to draw the top from this 29.47. Might have to adjust it because the snap is a little off. You could pick an area in here because that's a shorter measured move, but I'm going to pick the one down here, that bottom candle. Let me just adjust the top to the 29.47 with the snapping, I believe it has. There it is. So I have my fibs pre-configured. The colors don't matter, but I actually it helps me identify certain levels when I'm looking at when I'm trading. But you have these are the only fibs that I watch. We have the from here to here is 100% of the move mathematically. So I will look at 1/3 back. I just call the 61.8 1/3 back, and you have your halfway back, and then your 2/3 back, which is usually a critical area for support or resistance, depending on which way we're coming down. In this case, it would be support since we're above. So these can be used. So this 61.8 could actually be used as support. You could probably go long there if you wanted to give it a try, but you always have to see how the price interacts at that area. It's never guaranteed to work. But bigger moves usually retrace 50% of the move. The first tell is if we're going to hold is usually around the 61.8. I usually look for that. If that doesn't hold, usually we're definitely going to see the 50 at one point. The line in the sand, in this case for the bulls, would be around this 2/3 back, which is around the 27.90 area. You can always notice that fibs coincide with other previous levels. Like let me get my little pointer tool up here. So you'll notice that this fib coincides with a previous resistance area where we were pushed up and we failed, and then we finally broke through it right here. So this can be seen as a retest of this support, but I usually really like to see fib extensions coincide with areas like that. It gives me more confidence taking a trade in the direction opposite that the price moves. So I'll look for a bounce in that area. So let's look at what I use these other fib extensions for. Like for instance, this negative 23.6%. It could also be the 123.6%. That's probably up here more. You can't really see it on my chart unless I scroll down. Yeah, so that would be a target, upper target in the future. So the 23.6% fib is usually a first target for me. If I'm in a trade, obviously I'm not going to hold a trade on a daily time frame that long, trading the futures. But in the future, it's funny. These price levels based on this move right here could potentially be hit as a target. So if I was long and we broke out here, this is where I'd be looking for as a target, and that might coincide with a trend line of some sort as well. I don't have anything drawn here now, but if we, looking at the downside, if we did lose this area right here at the 2693, this could be a first target in this area, and it also coincides with where we U-turned finally after the correction back in February. And then my favorite fib extension to use that's has a high probability of working if you go long or short is the 161.8%. In this case, it's a negative 61.8% because I'm drawing it down from 0. And just noticed how, that coincides directly with the low that we had 25.29 on that correction back in February. It's all mathematical based. That's why I really enjoy using these fibs, and it's a big part of my trading plan. So let's take another look at, you can actually go, I'm on the daily time frame, but let's take a look on, say, like the 4-hour time frame. I can show you kind of how you can use it as well. So when you go down to faster time frames, you got to take the most recent moves. Like, I wouldn't look at any of this over here. I'd be looking like, okay, we went up here, we failed like the 44.75 area. This was the first U-turn right here, so that's where I would draw the fib, and just look at that. I actually had this fib drawn there a little late, I would say, in the day, but I just verified like why this level bounced there and why we were getting long here at ATR target trading. Of course, there are other things we're looking at, but drawing a fib is really helpful to keep you out of harm's way. Like, instead of going long in this area, obviously you would have got wrecked. Especially if you weren't using stops, you would have been underwater significantly. But if you draw from their most recent move, I use the 4-hour. It's pretty good. Typically, I like to draw the 15-minute if I'm day trading. Longer time frames, more serious supports that are solid, I would draw on the daily and the 4-hour. Those typically tend to bounce very well, as you can see here. So the 4-hour gave us this target here. I think the low is 73.25, so it was about a point off, but I mean, you really can't be mad about being a point underwater if you took that trade right there. So, and then let's look at, let's see a little bit more on ES, try to give you more examples. See if I can come over here. So we'll also notice here, we're still on the 4-hour fib. I mean, this is 15-minute now. Let me zoom in a little bit. Go back here. You can see this is a measured move, and we hit some resistance here 1/3 back, and then we just could not clear this halfway back here, which was a tell here. We tested it twice, and that was this area is definitely not going to hold because it failed here. We pushed up again, failed this again, or the halfway back. So at that point, I mean, you got to look lower if the market's dumping and selling like that. So you have your fib, so you have your extension, so it works pretty well. And you can actually get your targets. So let's actually delete this. So if we're looking at the 15-minute, if I was in this trade, took it long, I want to figure out where I want to get out, right? So you can actually draw a fib. You can probably take it from here down to here. Okay, so your first target would be this 89 area, and that so happens to coincide with this area right here. So if you were long, I'd probably take some off there and protect the profits that you have with the remaining contracts if you were trading with more than one. But halfway back is always a good target on a bigger extended move like that. I mean, I think that was about 40 points. Yeah, it was about a 40-point move. And I mean, the ultimate target would have been here. I'm sure the market would have kept pushing there if we didn't run out of time. Always 2/3 back of the move would be like the ultimate target to take almost every single profit that you have if you have any open positions. So far, I hope that's helpful. Let me look at an equity that I was looking at Square the other day. on the daily chart, because I use this fibs as well to identify daily targets when there's a push. And this is actually interesting because I already have it up. So let me zoom in. Don't mind the trend lines. I have that there for other reasons, but taking the most recent move on a square, we bottomed here, U-turned. We didn't really see any selling in like a short-term top until about the 92.92. So this is your range right here, and you can draw your fib just to get the levels clearly identified. And notice how we held the 1/3 back and it ended up creating a nice trend line. But if I was in here, if I got in here, how do I know where to get out? Because it seems like a pretty strong bullish trend. Simply just look at your 123.6% fib and look at that. You could have taken all your profit right there and avoided having to wonder if Square was going to keep pushing higher. But you could just be confident, even if she kept running, you'd at least be able to lock in almost all your profit in this area. And let's go back to ES one more thing. So hopefully so far this has been helpful for you guys to identify supports, resistances, and targets on the move if you're in a position and profitable. Gives you an idea where you can get out and just close out the position. So you can actually go into like these shorter time frames too. This is the 5-minute on ES, and you can draw the fibs here. I mean, this right here is a measured move too, top to bottom. Notice how we didn't hold the bottom fib, and that gave us a signal showing that, you know, this low right here is going to be tested again because we could not hold this area. And then you get your fib extension targets. I don't think this one isn't as good. That's why I don't draw them on the 5-minute. I draw them on the faster time frames. But I hope this video is helpful, and if you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel so I can let you guys know when I upload another video that's hopefully helpful for you if you're a trader or interested in becoming a trader. But I'll be back with another video, I'm sure, in the next few days. And take care, guys. Thanks again.